when I found out that Gina was running for mayor in the race, I was excited to have somebody that we know our fight and who has been fighting with us years before.
My name is Stephanie Luna.
And I'm Valerie Vargas.
My nephew Anthony, he was 21. He was our third-born nephew of 7 boys and 1 girl. I have 7 nephews, 1 niece. Anthony was my our third nephew. You know, he was so many things to so many people in my family. He was not just a nephew, not just a brother, not just a grandson. He was a best friend. He was a mentor. He was a fishing partner. He was a teacher. He was, you know, the phone call at the end of the day when someone's having a bad day.
Yeah.
You know, quite possibly Anthony was the one to pick up the other line when, you know, someone needed someone to talk to. And, you know, he meant something different to, you know, all of us. And his loss has affected, you know, not just myself and my sister tremendously, but it's been a big loss, you know, to the entire family, just because on the manner that Anthony was killed, he was murdered by the sheriffs for a deputy gang initiation. Like, that's not going to be something that's swept under the rug. And my nephew's not just another case number that's on a DA's office or another case file within the county coroner's department. You know, my nephew, he was a human being. He was someone that deserved to live his life. He had just turned 21. He hadn't even got his driver's license yet. You know, he had barely attained a driving permit, and he had a lot of life that was still left to live. And because of the negligence and the corruption within the county sheriff's department, my nephew will never be allowed to do any of that again. He'll never be allowed to fish. He'll never be allowed to have a wife. He'll never be allowed to grow old. He'll never be allowed to have kids. And these are all things that weren't lost. These are things that were actively taken away from him. When we first heard that Gina was running, it meant a lot to us as an impacted family, simply because we have someone that's in the race that not only understands our story, but understands the needs and, you know, is willing to put those needs into the community. You know, we know that what keeps us safe is us, and we know that our communities need investment. Policing doesn't need any more funding going to them, and Gina's, you know, one candidate that's willing to make sure that that happens, that, you know, the police doesn't continue to get funding. Our communities are going to be the ones that are going to receive that funding, and that's something that's, you know, crucial to us. You know, if there's one thing that we've learned is when the people in power don't represent you, you know, it's for you to hold them accountable. And that's exactly what Gina's doing, is she's stepping up, holding the people in power that aren't representing, you know, the minorities and aren't representing our communities. She's the one that's stepping up to hold them accountable. And, you know, all we can do is stand in line to support her and get the word out and let people know what her campaign consists of, and educate people on what her campaign is doing, and, you know, let them know that along with defunding the police means community investment.